Seems legit. Good morning, Legitimates, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are using my infrared laser and my Rar2 chuck rotary tool to make some bracelets. So these are both stainless steel, but this one's obviously black and this one is not. So today we're doing this one, but the settings are the same for both, just so you know. So we've got this really cool I love you to the moon and back. And then I added a little detail on the back clip as well because I love being extra. So if you want to see how to do this, please stay tuned. So as always, we are in LightBurn because I love LightBurn. We're going to zoom in because we are using quite a small font. So I am going to click the A button and then type I love you. Then on a separate line, I'm going to click again to the moon and back. So that way there will be two separate items that I can move around separately. I know that, doesn't make sense. So we're going to go up and we're going to line them in the center. I probably should have done this after I move them closer. So I'm going to drag them closer because it's obviously a small bracelet. We don't want too much gap. Then I'm going to select them all and align in the center again. So I love this font. This font is called Legendary Hollywood. I found it on dafont.com, just so you all know. Here I was going to try and draw a star, and then I realized that's way too hard. So I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to go to Google. Google is my friend. We're going to open a new thing. I was looking for inspirational quotes to do on this today. I was going to do something funny, but we went with this one because it's adorable. So we're just going to open a new Google search, and in the bar, we are going to type stars and moons or moons and stars. You can do either or. And then I type outline or silhouette and then go to images. As you can see, you can pick a lot of different types. You can do something super fine or more chunky. I'm obviously going more chunky, but that's because I wanted to. I think it looks really, really cute because you've got to remember it's also going to be really small. So I'm going to right click and save the picture. I'm going to name it something I can find for this video. Sometimes I just let it be named whatever it wants. It doesn't necessarily matter. So then we go to File and Import, and then the folder that you saved it in. Start typing the name and it pops straight up for you. And that is huge. So we are still in the hexagon tool. So we need to go back to the pointer. And then I'm just going to shrink it down to like a random size. Doesn't really matter. And then we're going to right click and click trace image. Now I always delete the original image after, and the purple line is what it's going to trace. So you can fiddle with those. I do it in a different video. And now I'm just going to shrink it down to make it the size I want for this. And then kind of put it where I think I want it. So that's not going to be perfectly lined up, but that's pretty close. So you can just move it around closer or further from the words, whatever suits. Now I'm going to select just the words. So you can hold the shift key and then click the individual ones. And then I right click and click group. So now the words won't move, but I can line up the moon and stars in the center so it's centered. Now I can right click, select all of it, right click and group all of it, so that I will be able to twist it and it will stay where I want. So now I just need to put in how wide I want it. I actually end up doing 1 millimeter less than this. I just thought I'd let you know now, because when I was lining it up, it was all the way to the edge and there was no gap at all. And I just wanted it that little bit smaller. And then we're going to twist it on to 90 degrees. Now I do 1 millimeter per second at 100% power on the IR laser. If you double click on it, you can actually rename it. So this color will save down the bottom permanently to be this particular strength. So as you can see, it is still dark outside. I just wanted to show you what jig I made for this. So when I got the bracelet, I looked around my house for things that would slide and hold the bracelet, and it turns out it's like a spray can lid is the perfect size for this. It's not too loose, not too tight, but because it is a lid, when I would have gripped on it, it would bend out of shape and then we would lose our perfect roundness. So I went to Bunnings, and for $2 and I think it was 30 cents, I found this. Now this by itself is too loose, because that can slip very easily. So, because this is solid plastic, I shove it inside there, and then when the bracelet goes on, it's not going to move now. So I have put on, I don't know if you can see this, but I have put on these little arms. So you get different arms in the pack. The one I used last time was the big size. These have got like different sizes in them, so you can grab something little or kind of more medium. And then the other one that I used last time is for the large. And then you're going to need your little chuck key. And then I'm going to put the solid plastic bit. It is shoved all the way in. I could probably glue it, but then I couldn't have shown you what I was doing. So I'm going to put that in here, and then I'm just going to use the chuck key to grab onto that nice and tight. Like that, so it won't come off. And then, so this will spin all the way around, and we can go and set it in the machine. Okay, so this is the infrared laser, and I always set it to home, which is the top right-hand screen. Now, you can kind of put your rotary tool anywhere you like, but you do want to make sure that those two bars are parallel, as in lined up evenly and not crooked. Otherwise, it will laser crooked, and then you'll waste one of your blanks. So I set it to go, and then I bring it down to where I want. You can actually drag the whole thing. That's the beauty of this laser. So you could grab onto that, the actual IR head, and pull it over, or you can put the other part underneath it if you want. So the first thing we need to do is pull down that thing and make sure that the height is correct. The infrared laser is very particular when it comes to the height. So if you don't line it up correctly, it won't mark your metal. So please make sure that that is correct. So now, as you can see, I can just drag that over. You can go over, back and forth. Because it is the chuck, we're not worried about position as much. So I'm going to line it up in the top right-hand corner and then hit frame. Now, I'm going to do this over and over until I get it perfectly lined up. So sometimes you just got to notch it one way or the other, or like slightly to the left, slightly to the right. I end up actually shrinking this down, I think another millimeter or maybe 2 millimeters, because it's just a little bit too close to the very edge for me, and I wanted it to be closer. But each time I do this, I'm lining it up. It's also easy to look from the side. So there's a little red dot under my finger. You can only see like the flare reflection. It's actually a very small little dot that makes it nice and easy to be able to see. But it's easy to line up from where I'm sitting slightly off to the side as opposed to where the camera is. But if I put you where I was trying to watch, then that also wouldn't really work out. So right now I will just be shrinking it down the next millimeter and then line it up again. Sometimes I've got to hit it more than once. So you just hit frame over and over to make sure that's exactly where you want it. And I must say, the red dot is amazingly accurate to line it up properly. So you can see the smallest adjustments I'm making, but I really want it to look its best. So again, frame it. And you can see me bending down and looking sideways to make sure it's doing everything in its right spot. And then once we hit go or start or play or whatever you want to call the button, it changes from a red light to like this white light. Now I've turned the volume off because it's insanely loud, but you will actually be able to hear it burning. Look at me talking with my hand. So you will hear it. It will sound a bit different. Much like when I'm on my sewing machine and I can hear the bobbin running out, the more you play with this, the more you'll be able to hear it. If you can't hear the change in anything or the burningness, due to the fact that I don't know what to call it any better, it means that you haven't got the height correct and you should stop and go back and do it again. So this will just go back and forth pretty slowly. I do end up speeding this up just because it does take, I think the total of the video before I sped it up was about 22 minutes. So I didn't shave a lot off, but I did make it speed up, and we're going to zoom in a minute as well. So I don't know if you can see, but it's making the slightest adjustment moving down. And I've also just noticed that the rubber part of this is not actually even, but that doesn't actually matter because the metal is straight, and that's all we really care about, and it's not going to slip. That's the other thing we do care about too. So it does go back and forth. This is 1 millimeter per second. So it is, even though it's slow, because it's such a small surface, we are getting a fair way already. So it has twisted quite a lot. And if you watch the rotary, it moves like the tiniest amount so that you can get really fine details with this. I don't have my suction thing, so you can see the pipe where it sucks up all the fumes and out the window. I don't have that on for this because it is so small and this is a fairly big room. I do have my air conditioning on because it was quite warm and stuffy in here and I don't want to sit through that. But if would I always have the suction fan? These type of things, it doesn't really matter. Here you go. We have sped it up and kind of zoomed in. You can see how little it moves each time. And it's more of a bluish light than a red light. Although it does have a red reflection, which I think is pretty cool. I worked out how to zoom in on this video so we can see it a bit better. I love my infrared head. It is great if you want to kind of have a bit of a side business in jewelry, but still also be able to make like wooden signs and stuff. If you were to solely do jewelry, I would actually suggest getting a fiber laser because it is quicker. And so now it's all done. The light goes back to red to let you know that it's finished. And I am just going to now send the machine home so that it gets out of my way and pull off this. Now you can see it's got a little bit of kind of tarnished color. We're just going to take a baby wipe and some of my rubbing alcohol, which I got from the supermarket. This is still the same bottle as when I originally got all of it. You only need a tiny little bit. And then when I rub it off, you can see it kind of gets rid of this weird brown stuff and then makes it all shiny. And it will also get rid of any fingerprints too, which is nice. So as you can see, I think that come out amazing. So now let's be a bit extra. I'm going to rub this back bit and then we're going to laser engrave just the moon and stars on the back part here. So we're going to go back to the program and we're going to ungroup. So you right click and then ungroup. We want to make sure that just the moon and stars are available to us. And then we need to shrink it down. So I'm just going to keep shrinking it millimeter by millimeter until it is small enough. I think I end up with 5 millimeters. So again, we are going to line this up and this will take me 7 goes because I didn't know the original size. I kept it as the original size and then just kept shrinking it down and down. I don't want it too small, but I also want to make sure that it fits on the tiny little clip part. Now, if you wanted to be extra, you could also do each side of the clip part and you could pretty much just do whatever you like. I just decided a small detail on the back makes it extra special. So again, you can see here, I'm adjusting it the slightest amount, watching sideways. That was not even, so I go again. And we're just going to repeat this process until I get it exactly where I want. Now, I left this in the video so that I could show you how many times I do actually frame it. We are already lasering now because you could see that the color changed. It does look kind of pink, I guess. But this one obviously won't take as long. I don't speed this one up for you so you can watch this part in real time. It doesn't take too long. It is only a small design though, so it's the small little clip on the back. So you can pretty much take any image from the internet and turn it into something lasery. If you are struggling to find exactly what you want, Etsy, you can use SVG files from Etsy or design bundles or wherever you get your SVGs from, and they will have some potentially very cool things. But Google is my best friend. Although do be careful of copywriting things if you plan on selling them, because we do not want you to get busted for like putting Mario and Luigi on a bracelet, because technically that's a copyright if you sell it. You could give it away. I could make one for my child, but just be very careful with like the copyright laws where you live. Although I don't think my moon and stars were copyrighted. And if those ones were, we could have picked a different one. So again, I am going to send the laser home. We are all finished already. Take it off. Gently. Especially if you want to keep it lined up for the next one. So that's what we got. And then I'm going to take that same wipe and just wipe off the stuff, the browningness. So see, it's perfectly. So that little clip has like an angled up part. So I did have to make sure it didn't go on there or it wouldn't laser properly. It does need to be flat. And then I'm just going to get rid of my fingerprints and we are all done. I hope that was very helpful for you and good luck making your own. Bye.